because whether you like them, woo, or you don't, they are the best thing, woo, in the football world today. Woo!
Woo! That was a close one. Hard to believe that we'd ever be in a knife fight with USF, let alone sitting here in relief that we lucked out and won it. We learned a few things this week. First of all, there's a long road ahead of us in terms of looking like a championship caliber football team. Two, the consistency that we'd hoped to see is fleeting, and our depth or lack thereof is a major fact in attaining it. And three, Jesus is in fact a Gator, because we would have certainly lost that game if not for a few lucky breaks. I'm Champ Brantley Jr., and these are my co hosts for the evening, Doug Dickey and Bad Take Peyton. Boys, I want to start off with some mailbag from an anonymous Gator whose Gatorship I can vouch for. He's one of the most legit Gators I know. I always take into account his opinion, and he sent me this after the game. Said, I think, here we go, quote, I think our offensive limitations are currently caused by two key things. Our wide receiver group is woeful, possibly the worst in my recollection. We have no deep threat whatsoever, and none of them are taking a 15-yarder and turning it into a big play. The injury to Jack Miller really handcuffed us because we have virtually no backup quarterback. Richardson can run the 10 plus game that he should be, his true strength, and what defenses fear the most. We have no home run threat, raw QB, average O line. All the other team has to do is play the run and the end zone within 10 yards, play the run and the zone within 10 yards of the line of scrimmage. As for our defense, we're thin, with a couple of exceptions, not real talented. If Dexter or Cox get hurt, we're fucked. Marshall is good. I noticed a lot of freshmen playing Saturday, which is good and bad. That they have to play is bad, but we have them to get the reps is good. Of the 6 Gator boys that's in our group, I'm the most critical, not because I want to be, but because my expectations are 10 plus wins per year. When I look at this year and every year's roster, I don't see but a handful of NFL caliber guys, maybe 10 if you're optimistic. Georgia and Alabama have 25 to 30. A&M probably 20 plus. We're not even close right now. We need to hit the fuck out of the transfer portal this offseason and recruit like we haven't since the days of Urban. Last thing that worries me, we got badly outcoached in the second half versus Kentucky against USF. Billy was in the west side of the Sun Belt, which is way easier than the east. Maybe he's not ready for this level. Remains to be seen.
Oh my God. Dude, everything that was in that is accurate, but I refuse to fucking listen to it because shut the fuck up. Everything you just said is the reason that it looks the way in the second half that it does. Like, I'm sick and tired of this. I'm listening to Shane Matthews talk about how we are what we are and you got to be able to do this, or some other radio guy on ESPN in Gainesville this week just fucking, woe is us. We're not Georgia. We're not out. Well, no shit, guys. We knew this coming into this season. We are who we thought we were. Okay? Just enough of the Billy is not the guy. He's not ready for this level. It's ridiculous. It is ridiculous. Thank you for letting me explode there, because I am so sick of hearing that.
Yeah, but I mean, he didn't tell a lot of lies there, you know? And it definitely had me worried. I mean, that fucking game versus USF, it really it took a while, but by the end of it, I was like, we truly are bad. Like we're in fucking tough shape right now.
It's fine. I don't care. You took the win.
If we want to break this down line by line, there are some things that I do disagree with. He says our
Okay.
wide receiver group is woeful and possibly the worst in his recollection. I don't think that's necessarily the truth. I think that they are running really simple routes. We don't have Dan Mullen calling plays anymore, where we don't have like pattern matching, where like we see like a two high safety look or one high safety look, and we're running certain routes to exploit that. I do think Billy Napier is running a very simplistic um, route tree for the receivers, and that's why I think they look bad. Like we've seen Whittemore in a better offense, so to say, where he's looked phenomenal. He's looked like a great wide receiver. I think Pearsall has flashed a little bit this year as well. I hate that the way that we're using Henderson. We're using him on those wide receiver jet screens where he is our true deep threat, where he needs to be the one that's breaking open the field. We heard about it all fall practice, where he was the one that was going over top of all of our safeties, and he was the one breaking off these 40-yard, 50-yard runs. And we're not seeing that right now. We're just seeing screen plays to him, jet screens to him that just aren't working,
Yeah.
losing us yards,
I'm
actually.
gonna hit off of another thing that I think is completely false. I using the word average to describe the O line. I'm not gonna say that they're like the greatest offensive line that has ever played the game. They're certainly not, but average. Or maybe I've just been jaded by years of bad play under Dan Mullen at the offensive line positions, but they're pretty good. I think that the team is averaging like it's got to be like 7 yards a carry on the ground. Like
Yeah.
that doesn't an average O line does not allow that to happen. So
Well, I think the ones are pretty good, but I think we definitely missed Tarquin last week. I think that the depth is really showing in the offensive line. I mean, Osiris Torrance is he's probably one of the best guys that we've had on the O line in a couple years. But you know, if one or two more of those guys go down this season, then I mean, we're in struggle fucking central right there.
Osiris Torrance is definitely
that's a
the
depth
number
issue
one.
though. That's not a skill issue. And that I think the guy that stepped in for Tarquin did pretty well for all things considered. Like we like I think as again I think and it goes back to what I was saying about Napier and oh he's not ready for this. It's like these where Florida's fan base needs to like stop and just chill for a little bit because it yeah we knew like we quit last year like we were 6-6 and we quit. We lost to UCF in the bowl game. Of course we're not a good team, like there's a lot of things we got to fix, but I think that it's a lot better than it could be. I don't know. That's just I'm not
Yeah,
here for
it's
the
too
doom
early
and
to fire the
gloom.
coach. We fired Mullen
I don't
because
think he's
this
saying
team.
firing the coach. I don't think anybody's saying fire the coach. I think he's saying that he was maybe dubious on Napier when he first came in, and now he hasn't really shown him anything that's like been reassuring on the field. I think off the field it's hard to find really, somebody that's been. They turned their whole recruiting program around, so that is a positive, and he's, you know, the kind of guy that you would want, but we're still at the wait and see part as far as if he's got the plan.
Well, let's dive into Anthony Richardson. I mean, the QB situation. I think Billy Napier is kind of forcing him into this offensive scheme that he's not used to.
Yeah,
Like
that's an issue.
he's used to running a spread offense with a lot of RPOs, a lot of um, screen passes and like spread option where he's lined up in shotgun. He never turns his back to the defense. And if you've seen some of his plays that are in pistol and he turns his back to the defense and then he has to turn around and read the defense really quickly, he's not succeeding in that aspect.
Yeah,
And so there might need to be some extra added offensive plays into these upcoming games that we haven't seen in the playbook yet. Like how creative can Billy be? And I think that's we'll see that in the next couple of games
yeah.
if he's gonna be creative or not.
If he knows the answers to the questions, because this guy, I mean, you have one of the best athletes in the country at quarterback, and he hasn't thrown for a touchdown yet. and he didn't really run that for that many yards last week. Honestly, he just looked pretty confused at times last week. There was one where I think it was in the first quarter, and there was it was a rollout, and the short level was open, and then the medium level was open, and he could have ran for probably 20 in it, and he just kind of like hesitated and didn't really know what to do. And then in this press conference, he said that it definitely is on his mind that, and they tell him every game that he needs to not be getting hit, can't be running around quite so much, because we have no depth at quarterback, which is another thing that our mail-in listener brought up. So it's not good to have all that clacking around in your head on top of having to play a competitive defense. So that's been definitely a worry of mine. And then you see him down there checking into a throw at the goal line and throwing a pick in the end zone when we absolutely had to score that touchdown. It was crucial that we scored that touchdown and threw a pick in the end zone, which was
that was not necessarily the incorrect play to run so much as it was just a bad pass. And he checked into the run where Montreal Johnson scored the 65-yard touchdown because he read the defense and he saw. So I think that's why I'm harping so much on the people have to chill a little bit, because it's like we joke about, oh, we're are we good? Are we back already? And it's like, the answer now, I think, clearly is no. We are a team that has a lot of these issues, but none of it is things that can't be fixed. And I think that is kind of the thing that, like, is Napier ready for this level? Can Anthony Richardson improve as a passer? And then you've got people on their local radio shows up here saying, no, you're either born with it or you're not. And it's like, that's so dumb. The idea that he can't improve at all, that he can't get out of his head a little bit and say, you know what, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to have fun. And maybe when he has a safety net under him, that we can go to another quarterback that can play, that he loosens up a little bit. Because the other thing that he said on Monday was that, yeah, I'm thinking about this a lot, but that when I was a kid and every time I've ever been successful in playing football, I'm not worrying about those things. And his mom described him as like, there's Anthony that's fun and just goes out there and has a good time, and then there's Tony that takes everything serious. And obviously the last 2 weeks, I think maybe, and for whatever reason, we've seen Tony and not Anthony, but these things are all things that can be improved upon. And I'm not just like, I'm not going to, because I think I realized that, like, I was pissed that I thought the call in the end zone where he threw the pick was a play call. And I was like, Coach, run the ball. Like, what are you doing? But obviously, and then afterwards with Napier, and some of it may be him not wanting to throw kids on the bus or whatever, but, just saying, like, he made the right read and the right play. It was just a bad throw, and all of those things can be fixed. I'm not ready to, for my mental health, I'm no longer going to be a nut job about all this stuff.
Yeah.
I was gonna add to that. Like, that was the right play. It was a one-on-one with Shorter in the corner. It was a fade route, and Shorter's the bigger, stronger, more physical wide receiver than their USF small corners, But Richardson just threw a bad pass and it got intercepted.
Yeah, he didn't throw a fade ball though. He threw a rope.
You got to throw a ball that the wide receiver can high point where only they can catch it, or if they can't, it's over their head and it's nobody can catch it.
Yeah, and I just worry that if you don't know the offense perfect, dead cold, and feel comfortable in it, then it's hard to really flesh out and have fun in it. So that's.
He looked like he had a shitload of fun against Utah, though. That's like
he did.
The only thing that I'm trying not to worry too much. It's like he said after Kentucky, I missed a couple of the throws, and they were wide open throws. Missed the throws, was in my head. my confidence went down. And then, I mean, last week, aside from the second half, like the first half, he was pretty good. Like
Yeah.
10 of 12 or whatever, something great like that. And then the second half was not great, obviously. But
So I will say that it's not just that they're scared of getting Richardson hurt. I actually think he's like playing with a minor injury that he like suffered in practice after the Utah game. And there's like some smoke around that as well. And that they don't want to exaggerate that injury. That's why we don't see him running 20 times a game and we don't see him busting open 65-yard runs like we're kind of used to by now. They're scared that, I mean, remember that hamstring injury he had last year? Like that was like a lingering injury that he had been dealing with since high school as well. Like those don't just go away. And I think the coaching staff is scared that if he does actually injure himself, it's going to be Engel until Miller gets back.
when he slid on that,
Hopefully.
oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh no! I mean, yeah, we've seen him get up limping on 2 plays now.
One against Kentucky, and then
where
he slid against USF and kind of like
yeah,
was favoring.
he got up hobbling a little
Mhm.
bit, and so I mean, it's a little sketchy. It's like they're not playing just to not get him hurt; they're playing to not exaggerate that injury.
And I think that the other aspect of it, and part of the reason again why like this is this guy ready for this level? What is this coach doing? Can he hack it? And then some of the other fans that are like out there just outright firing him and saying that the experiment's going to be over faster than we think. It's like, okay, it's also year one, and does it really matter that much if we don't win all the games this year? Like we weren't going to win 10 plus games this year. If that was your expectation, you had foolish expectations.
Yeah, but I think the expectation to beat USF and not look. I mean, we should have killed them. You know, we should have killed them. Or we at least shouldn't have been in a dogfight with them. And that was just that the play was just so bad this weekend that it's crazy to think that it's the same fucking team. You know, like in week one versus Utah, they looked like they had their shit together, and then they put out such bad tape over the last 6 or 8 quarters that, God, I don't even know. I mean, I don't blame anybody for second guessing. I don't blame them, but I don't think that it's time to take action on any of these second guesses. But the offense is looking a lot like kind of like a Gus Malzahn type of thing where they're doing shifts and sending guys in motion and shit like that. And if that's the depth of intellect that's put into our playbook, then we need some studs in order to execute it and still win.
Well, I think
Well,
that's
think about all the. Go ahead.
I think that's part of the reason why when you look at the future classes or like the next class is pretty much all defensive linemen and all wide receivers, and then Trayon Webb is a running back. There might be a couple offensive linemen. There's obviously like the coaching staff feels that there's a need for 2 specific player groups and not much of anything else, and that when you support those positions, that everything's going to get a lot better. And it's like nobody. It's week 3 and we're 2-1. Could very easily be 0-3. Could be 3-0. The playing is not great. The play calling can be a little bit vanilla at times, but I don't think that if we went 8-4 this year, I wouldn't really be surprised, and I wouldn't really be all that upset either. I mean, it's of course I'd rather win all the games, but I think these things are like part of the reason that it's like you say that, well, it's hard to tell it's the same team. It's just they look so put together. It's like, yeah, as you're learning things and you're going through a different process and you're seeing things from a different perspective, you have to unlearn bad habits. And there's some people on the defense that don't look like they're willing to give up any of their bad habits. the young kids came in, and I think that maybe they didn't know exactly what to expect as far as USF's game plan. Their offensive line looked pretty big from where we were sitting.
They had a good game plan for sure.
And I think that the fact that they had like a total boatload of Power 5 transfers come in, you know, between last year and this year, I think maybe their first game, they're trying to learn everything that they have to learn for their system, and then they get their little easy tune-up game against Howard, and can kind of then build off of that and prepare. It's like we've had, and Utah is not, or I'm sorry, USF is not like the toughest of tough opponents, but it's also not like a bullshit school at the same time. They were last year, but it'll be interesting to see what their team looks like moving forward. It could be a lot better than everybody thought they would be.
Yeah, their game plan was to triple team Dexter and then run straight at the linebackers because they knew the linebackers were going to be in the wrong gaps. Anyone that's watched this defense, and this is my one time of the podcast that I get to shit on Todd Grantham, like I always enjoy to do. Also Christian Robinson, I'll shit on him as well. Like, our linebackers are atrocious, and we never recruited well at that position. Like, sure, on paper, it looked good, but these weren't true linebackers we were recruiting. These were super athletic edge guys or safeties that we tried to bulk up into being linebackers or something like that. And they just don't know how to fill a gap. And you can already see Samar James, a true freshman, come in and look better than Amari Burney. Look better. Haven't seen much of Black yet, but
Justice Boone.
Yeah, Boone looks pretty good, but he's like an edge guy.
Yeah.
Where these new people coming in already look miles better than the senior people that have played 4 or 5 years in the system. Outside of like Ventrell Miller, who we look really bad without.
Yeah.
And I really think games will depend on if he's healthy or not. Like, if he's not, like, just chalk that up to a loss. But if he is, like, I think we actually have a fighting chance on defense because so many people are in position when he's out there, and they're not when he's gone. They just are lost. They're filling the wrong gaps, and the stuff with the safeties is just, it's so annoying, especially with like Dean finger wagging like after giving up a 12-yard run and like flexing his muscles and all this stuff, and I'm like, this guy is so lost where he's just like happy about racking up tackle numbers, but he doesn't care that he's giving up first downs like in the red zone. Yeah. And it's just, it's so infuriating to watch.
And there was a moment on punt coverage where he was on the field and he shouldn't have been. We almost got flagged for 12 men on the field. Luckily, it was a penalty on USF. Man, luckily they were not clean, or they would have won that game, because there was several clutch penalties that they had that gave us the go-ahead. And, of course, the miscues in the kicking game ultimately were that saved the game. I was already out of the fucking stadium by then. I don't know. Peyton, did you stay for the whole game?
I stayed for the whole game. I watched the missed field goal. We got saved by 2 bad snaps. That's really what it came down to.
They have an incredible kicker.
Snap. Yeah, the fact that it even got close with how bad of a snap and like hold it was astonishing, and it almost got in there.
Yeah, that was.
Yeah, maybe we need to pick him up in the transfer portal. Fuck.
Our kicker's not half bad either.
Yeah, but still, the guy if he can kick a fucking sideways ball 60 yards, then might be a special guy.
But if I'm taking anybody, I'm taking USF's linebackers. That's who I want on my team.
Linebackers.
For some reason, we make every linebacker look like they're like God came down on earth and took over a football player's body. Because Kentucky's defensive line was awful, but their linebackers were astonishing.
They have Jordan Wright though he's like 6'5", 250 pounds. He's a total unit. And then
he's a guy.
The other guy, I think is it Jaquez Jones? Something Jones, number 10. Pretty good player too. So it's not like they have like the weakest linebacker core. I don't know much about Tennessee's. I don't want to get ahead of us here, but I don't know much about what their team has. I haven't. These fucking 7:30 games have made it impossible to watch football.
Yeah, I'm so grateful for a fucking
away game to let.
Yeah. Finally, an away game that's in the middle of the day, so we can actually watch other football.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's move on to kind of the things that we saw that didn't look like a complete shit show. The secondary, they played pretty good. I thought. I was pretty impressed um, by the cornerbacks and stuff. I mean, there was guys running open at points, but it was more of like a bend don't break performance from them. Hopefully, they're playing a little bit tighter this weekend. Um, Jalen Kimber had another breakout game. I think he's going to be a special player for us. Um, he got some action in Kentucky. He was in on that long Will Levis pass. He was the defender in that one, and honestly, it was very well defended, that pass, but it just ended up the guy made a good play on the ball. I mean, low key didn't catch it, but we won't go there. But yeah, what were some of the things you guys saw this weekend that were semi encouraging?
I definitely like the offensive line pretty good. They're actually averaging 6.5 yards a carry on the season. There's a couple times where I think it's like the detriment of Richardson not being 100% or not being completely unleashed, and him not really being comfortable throwing the ball for whatever reason. You can tell that sometimes the runs are sniffed out pretty quickly, but they still do great. I think for considering like we couldn't run the ball at all the last 2 seasons. Montrell Johnson and Etienne are my favorite players on the team. I think
For sure, they're very good.
Really, really great running backs. Just I think that's the key with like the play calling and stuff is like just keep feeding them and do some other exciting stuff with them, some more confusing stuff with them, and it'll be all right.
The problem is we saw this kind of last year. We saw Emory Jones couldn't throw or just threw a bunch of interceptions, and teams would learn that hey, we can only run the ball, so they just like stack the box. And then our run game took a huge hit as well. So then both our passing game and our running game like took a huge hit. And I'm scared that we're going to start seeing that now, where people aren't scared that we're going to throw over top, so they're just going to stack the box on us, and it's going to affect Montrell Johnson and Trevor Etienne's numbers, along with the offensive line's like rushing numbers. Unless we can really get Richardson going, unless Jack Miller can get healthy and we actually have a safety net and we can throw, I think the running game isn't going to look as good as it has been these past 3 games. I do think the secondary has looked really good. Our cornerbacks, again, some people that haven't been coached under Todd Grantham, like Devin Moore, I think has looked really good. Kimber, like, can get a pick 6 with one hand.
Yeah,
that was astonishing. Like, I didn't know that he had a club for hand until like I looked in closer and I saw like it was like one of those things where like
right.
linebackers wear because they don't really need like they can just bat down balls. And
Old
stuff.
school. Yeah, it's old school.
So that was really like good to see, and I think because of those things, we are a good matchup for Tennessee.
I will say too that the as far as the throwing goes, the one pass that he had to Shorter where he made it wasn't the greatest throw, and that was part of the reason why it was such a cool looking catch.
Yeah,
But the he did have that from my view in the home side of the south end zone. That he had, I think it was Shorter again on a touchdown where Shorter was held. The USF defender grabbed his hand as he was running away, and the ball kind of it like we got they called pass interference on it. And but that was a great throw, and it was right on the money if Shorter wasn't held. So, and I think that's part of the reason why I'm not quite, he's in the medium throws, he kind of misses the throwing lanes a little bit,
Yeah,
just a tad
then he gets
off.
some-
But I think that, like I said, all those things can improve, and I think that if he can just get out of his head a little bit and like just let's let him go have fun. Obviously, we don't want him getting hurt and all those things, but those things, it's like it's just little tweaks. It feels like to being a really pretty decent team, and on the backs of those two guys, and even Naquan hasn't looked quite the same since his. What did he tear his ACL or break his leg?
last year. I don't remember.
I don't remember if it was
it wasn't a torn ACL.
Whatever injury he had on his leg. He was fast for that touchdown. The other
Bounce to the outside.
Yeah, and that was great. So we've got a lot of great running backs, and I think if we can just tweak the throwing and get a little bit more out of that, and it doesn't have to be, what was he like, 18 of 24 against Utah. If he can be more like that, or 20 of 24 or 18 of whatever, if he can,
and then do something on the ground.
Yeah.
A couple keepers.
Yeah, a little bit of that. Maybe this week he's saved enough to not have to worry about being hurt or whatever's kind of nagging at him, and I think we'll be okay.
Yeah, maybe we will. We'll see. I really don't want to get fucking blown out by these dumbass, inbred, gross, rocky top, sloppy top ass motherfuckers. They're just speaking of which, let's bring in our third guest, the one and only from the gutter of Knoxville, John fucking Jones.
Let's go, baby. Let's go. Big time, boys. Big time.
He's just been
How you
waiting
doing,
in
bud?
the green room listening to us fucking bitch and moan and yell at each other for the last half hour, and he's ready to pounce.
I was going to say, listening to 2 years ago, we did the podcast. It was like, you guys were just so fired up, talking shit, minute 1 to minute 30. And then this time you guys are like, oh, we're number 20 in the country. I'm just like super sad and everything's fun. It's like fucking privileged ass Florida fans. Like, oh, I'm 2-1. Like, my life is so hard. It's like,
Yeah, it is hard to be 2-1, dude.
it's brutal. Oh, must suck. We wouldn't know, but we can get into that later.
Yeah. Well, let's get into our Tennessee preview. I don't know. I don't have very much on Tennessee this year. They really haven't. I mean, they played Pitt pretty close. They beat the hell out of Ball State week 1.
Ooh, ah.
Yeah, they beat Akron last week
Ooh,
by
ah.
90.
I mean, we almost lost to USF.
Call me when
so-
call me when you play some real teams like USF, okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go.
If we could have just played USF, we'd be in a whole different conversation.
Yeah, you might be 2-1.
we might be, dude. They might have
Yeah.
thrown up 58 points. Honestly, that's the only way we're losing nowadays. So, I was looking at the stats. We're averaging. It was before the Akron game. It was 20 seconds in between plays, and then we took our sweet time, still put up 63, and now we're averaging 26 seconds in between plays. The offensive line is in better shape than most other teams' running backs, dude. That's what you got to understand. I just hear some heavy breathing over there.
Yeah, well, it's because I'm sick. It's not because I'm nervous.
The only reason you guys have good offensive linemen is because your last coach cheated to get them all there.
Which one are you talking about? I know we can talk about all of them.
Jeremy Pruitt and his sanctions. You guys are a bunch of cheaters.
Ongoing investigation with your McDonald's bags full of cash.
Yeah.
Delivered by hookers.
Sorry, we're cool. I don't know what to say. Sorry, we're a cool team.
Speaking of hookers,
Hendon.
Hendon is pretty decent. I don't know how many yards he has left, but he on the tail end of last year, he had a hell of a second half of the season. I think they were running with Guantanamo Bay last year, weren't they? Jared Garantano for the first half of last year. Is that right?
Guaranteed the Yankees.
Garantizzi?
Guaranteed.
Was he still
the
there
Yankee
last year? No, Hooker played the whole game, I
No.
think.
It was Hooker. It was Hooker and the Michigan transfer.
Joe Milton.
Oh yeah, because Hooker
Joe
got
Milton.
he tweaked his leg or something at one point.
Well,
Hooker played most of the Florida game, and even they couldn't even beat a Todd Grantham defense. So
They were garbage last year.
saving grace. He left.
UT's averaging 52 points per game. Yeah, this is in Neyland. Fuck. I don't feel great about this.
26 seconds per snap. Is that what you said?
Yeah, that's not very
That's
fast,
early.
honestly.
I mean, that's
I don't know.
pretty. I mean,
It's kind of fast.
it's from the end of the play to the snap of the next one. Like that's pretty quick. I mean, if you watch their games, like their defense gets on the field so fast. They either just like
Yeah.
I mean, when we played Pitt, it was either like, all right, we're gonna go out there, they'd throw a pick, or they would just score within like 3 or 4 plays, So, and that's a team that like we actually can judge the performance based off of. Like, I mean, Pitt's a good team. I'm not saying they're SEC quality. I'm not saying they're top 25 even.
Well,
but
they stink.
they're a good team. They would probably
Well, they
smoke
stink.
one up. Let's be real. But
Well, they stink. Keep on
Yeah.
Slovis sucks.
no, but it was a good game. And I honestly think, I mean, yeah, we went to overtime, but I think, yeah, the point is that the offense goes out there so fast that the defense just comes right back out. So, but I don't know. I'm always scared Florida week, dude, because most of my life has been a loss.
Yeah, I would be too. I would be too if I was young.
The
Yeah.
pressure's on you. Like
Yeah.
you guys are the favorites, 11-point or 10.5-point favorites, whatever book you're looking at.
Yeah, we have no
And
pressure.
You guys are,
That's
you're supposed
true.
to be this offensive juggernaut, and Florida is coming off like limping off of a Kentucky loss and almost lost to USF. So all the pressure's on y'all.
Yeah,
That's
but
true.
like you're gonna position it that way. But the moment we win, I'm blowing up all your phones. I'm gonna blow it up, dude. I don't care. Like,
It does mean more to you anyway.
Are we still going to be
so.
using phones 30 years from now?
whatever we're using, I'll be getting on there talking some
You said
shit. You
the
already know.
moment you guys win, I don't know.
Yeah, it could be another 17, huh?
I mean, if history is any indication, I'm not too sure that you should be feeling quite as comfortable as you do. No, I'm just kidding, man.
The last
We suck,
time
you're right. You
we
guys are
won.
gonna beat our ass.
The last time we won, I was at Rusty's Bar and Grill with Landon and proceeded to get trashed because I think that's when Florida State was actually good. Man, so
No.
that has been a while. That's 6
I think
years.
it was 16.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, that's ridiculous, honestly. So, but that, and then before that, it was 10 years, right? That we won last?
11. Yeah.
11.
Counting though? Fuck you guys.
That was.
I remember when McElwain broke the streak, and they said ducks don't pull trucks,
And, yeah.
and that
True.
got blown up on everything.
Who was
Was
that
that
said
Quincy
that?
Wilson,
That was
maybe?
one of the Wilsons,
Wilson.
wasn't it? God damn it. dude.
Yeah, I think it was Quincy Wilson who said ducks don't pull trucks, and then later that night we saw ducks pulling trucks, and then even Oregon tweeted at us, like the official Oregon.
Yeah,
account
it was the fucking
tweeted their
duck pulling a truck. Just awful. That hurt really bad.
It's just humiliating when they occasionally beat us. It's honestly just fuck them, dude. It's not even a fucking rivalry anymore. I mean, they beat us. Fucking Vandy's beat us more times than Tennessee has in 17 years.
But think about who started that game for us in 2016.
I shudder to even
Austin
imagine.
Applebee's.
Oh,
Was it It was either Appleby or was it Del Rio before
No,
he
it
got
was
hurt.
it was Appleby because Del Rio. God, dude, what a dark time. That's what, like, fuck the anonymous writer at the beginning of the. Oh, you're woeful. Just the worst team. Napier isn't ready. We lived through
Yeah.
Muschamp and McElwain, and we're like,
we've been through some shit.
it's okay. We're okay. Like we were debating whether or not to start Luke Del Rio, worried that, oh, is his shoulder going to be all right, or are we going to have to try Appleby out there? And we put up like 20 points in the first half against Tennessee, and then McElwain was like, okay, we'll just run the ball for the rest of the game. Got one-dimensional and let
Alien
him back
came
into
in.
it.
That's what
Yeah,
we
we
need
were-
to do
yeah.
this weekend is run the fucking ball every play. That
They don't-
Trayon Harris stat line is coming
Oh
out
yeah, it
recently.
needs to
with-
be. I hope this game is like
Threw the ball
9-6
5 times.
at the end of this game. 9-6,
Yeah.
and we get our 9 by 3 field goals. I'm fine with that. If we get out of there with
Yeah.
with a win in Knoxville, and all those Rocky Top people are jumping off a Rocky Top because they're just they've had it. Beautiful. That's what we want.
Yeah, let's put the nets out for on the edges of Neyland.
That one year, it was at 2018. I think it was Dan Mullen's first year. We were playing in Rocky Top, and it was the year that tight end ran like a 65-yarder to the house and then fumbled it through the back of the end zone, and it was a touchback. And then I think we got a touchdown off in the first 30 seconds of the second half, and you just see the crowds just emptying out of the stadium, just by
they're
the
just sad.
droves.
There's nothing sadder than a Tennessee fan that's sad, and it just gives me so much joy every year to see them just dumping out of there before the end of the game.
You know what was worse? It was 2015, I believe this was. Correct me if I'm wrong, but the fucking pass into the end zone, final seconds, was that Felipe Franks who threw
That was
it?
2017. The heave to cleave.
Yep, I was there for that one.
I had a
So-
meltdown at
I was-
Shell House, dude. I had a meltdown.
Which was that worse
Yeah.
than the Will Greer and Callaway game? Because you guys actually had a
That was-
chance to go back down, and the officials even helped you too. I remember this one because I was livid. I was at home on my couch with my parents, and it was like there's no way we can't do it. We converted like 4 fourth downs in a row. Get the pass to Callaway where he gets the good block from Powell and runs down the sideline. But then Tennessee came back out and goes all the way down, marches down the field. They're going to kick like a 35 or a 45-yard field goal or something like that. And the ball was on the right hash, and then like something happened. I think Florida called a timeout, or Butch Jones probably called the timeout because he's an idiot. And
No, I'll tell you what happened.
officials
I'll tell you what happened.
spotted the ball, though. When they respotted the ball, they moved it further in from the hash, like 3 or 4 yards. And I was like, what the fuck are you doing? You can't do that. And then you guys missed it. Like that one I feel like that had to be worse than even, I don't know. What's your opinion?
That one was I remember that one as well. That one was so bad. I think I just moved to Austin. So I was probably with Champ, honestly. But no, tragic. Nothing's worse than the Felipe Franks pass because we were dominating that game, dude.
Yeah.
And I was over at Ale House, just like sitting at the bar, and I was like, wow, like we're actually like the whole game, like all the quarters we dominated, and then you guys just come back with like 2 touchdowns at the very end, ruined everything. The missed field goal was like typical because again another terrible year for us, but not that game with Felipe, dude. We had you guys on the ropes.
Well, you know that like Butch Jones had that like matter of fact looking, well, we lost face that he has. It's just like, well,
really red, brick by brick, dude.
brick by brick, and you've only got 1 brick in the last 17 years.
We're working on it, dude. We're working on it. If we don't win this year, there is no God. It is just crazy. We better.
I already told you at the top of the show, Jesus is a Gator, dude.
I don't even know. All the pieces are lined up this year, dude. Just on all cylinders. No, we're favored by 10.5. We will never ever be favored by 10.5 until the year 3000. So we have to convert right now.
No pressure, man.
But again, like as a Vol fan, like I've just been accustomed to just not severe disappointment in the program, just severe disappointment on this particular game every year. So like I just have to. I mean, you guys. The thing about this, the one guy that beat you was the alien. Out of all of our quarterbacks, the one guy that beat you was the alien. Like that's got to sting. Like come on. And he was the worst player on the offense by far.
What do you mean sting? Like it didn't. There was no sting about it. I mean, whatever. We lost to like 1 and fucking 17 years. This one will make 2 if we do lose.
No, that stung. I'll tell you 100% that stung. And the 2015 game, I was at both that one and the heave to cleave. But the 2015 game, Tennessee had a penalty on a running clock with like 9 seconds left in the game. So with that, it's a 10-second runoff. So the Gator sideline not stormed the field, but the Gator sideline rushed the field, and we're celebrating everything like that. And then Tennessee had a timeout left, so they used that timeout to not run the clock off. So they had to put all the Gator players back, so the kicking unit came back out. They kicked it, and then he missed it.
They still spotted the ball 4 or 5 yards further in than the right hash where it previously was.
Yeah, they probably did because the whole Florida sideline was in the middle of the field, and then they had to push everyone back, so they probably lost track of where that ball was.
Can't even cheat right, John.
Yeah, you guys.
Whatever.
You guys had to paint your rock to get a head coach, and he was going to be the next big thing. And then I can't wait for those sanctions to drop at some point. They're coming.
I remember having this.
They're at least looming in the back of your mind.
I remember having this conversation, and I literally was re-listening to the podcast, and I was like, "Yeah, I would take Derek Dooley right now." I was in such low spirits when we had this first podcast. I was like, "Yeah, I'd take Shiano. I'd take Dooley. I'd take Philip Fulmer." I was pushing for Philip Fulmer for a long time. He was returned.
Well, you got him as AD. He did a pretty good job, right? He's still there, right?
How do you guys feel about you stealing all of UCF's coaches and AD and everything? You guys are the northern UCF now.
Northern, from people from Florida, our whole lives are just yeah, that's the North. It's still the South, we did have Guantanamo Bay as our leader, and he was a Yankee, so that was pretty tragic to start. We do. We got the highfalutin offense. I like Heupel. They just gave him a contract extension, actually. I think today or yesterday. So
yeah, a couple days
he's
ago.
around. Yeah, he's around. Dude.
He's definitely the best.
Yeah, maybe instead of champions of life, you can be the fake national champions now.
Yeah.
I don't know, dude. If we get through you guys, the problem is that we have to play Georgia and Bama this year, so that's going to cause. It sucks.
We have to play them every year.
Both teams, though, I don't think we play Georgia and Bama every year.
Yeah, you guys, that's your West rival. LSU is Florida's.
Oh, yeah.
And then Georgia's in your division.
That is a nasty draw. I would say I feel bad for you, but you're Tennessee.
Yeah, we get LSU. Fuck y'all.
You guys get LSU every year, right?
Yeah.
And then, okay.
Yes. And we get a free win in Knoxville every year.
And plus, Kentucky is they like to lose to you guys, even though you're better than them normally, and we are their Super Bowl, so you guys.
And we're definitely y'all Super Bowl at this point. That's the real pathetic part. Is every year this is the Vols Super Bowl, and they find a way to lose it. It's not that the Gators are always kicking their ass. They kick their ass a fair amount of times, but it's usually Tennessee that fumbles the bag.
No, I don't disagree. Listen, I've said it once. I've said it a million times. We're going to lose this game on our own accord. You guys are not going to beat us. We are going to lose if we lose. So it's not going to be you're going to outplay us because you guys haven't – there's no way you're going to pass better than us. There's no way you're going to score more points than us. Absolutely 0% chance. So, I think – yeah, if Hendon Hooker loses his arm in a chainsaw accident during this week before practice, you might beat us. But
hey,
other than that,
my wife knows a guy, huh? My wife knows a guy.
It's Tony. His name's Tony.
So does it just come down to who's got the worst defense?
Honestly,
it may be y'all.
Our defense isn't that great. We had some key stops against Pitt. But we still, what did we allow? 35 points, 27 points.
24, you went to overtime. But that was the one thing I was going to say was that it was really surprising that Pitt was able to kind of push you guys around a little bit on the on the defensive side of the ball for you, because they were much smaller team, but they were physical. So that kind of made me feel pretty good looking forward. I was like, well, maybe their defense isn't all that great, and we'll be able to maybe if it looks like the Utah game, that could be interesting. A lot of points scored or something like that. But
yeah, that Utah game was wild, and I honestly thought Florida played really well in it. But no, like I said, Tennessee's defense isn't like, I'm not saying it's nothing to write home about, but like obviously we're going to score a lot, right? So I mean, we have decent linebackers, we have decent backs, but I don't think they're going to like change the game in any way. So I don't know. Like I said, it's Florida's always a bad matchup, and I do agree with Peyton what he said. Like I think it's going to be interesting. And Pitt came out really strong, Stout. You're right. It's like 10-0 to start, and then they just kept putting on points. We really didn't show up until the second half. So like obviously it's going to look like a lot closer of a game than it actually was, but we destroyed them in the second half. So again, it's just like if we decide to show up or not, which we tend not to do against Florida. So still sweating no matter how good we are. 11th in the country, like it's always going to be sweating.
Hey man, like we said, no pressure on you guys whatsoever. No pressure.
All you got to lose is the whole season and everything.
Yeah, and it may be your last chance for the next few years to beat Florida. So,
that's a fact. Yeah, if you want to do it, this is your time.
So no pressure.
See,
Else you're gonna go back in the turnover trash can.
I think you're full of shit. I think you're just writing it off. I mean, I think you're full of shit. Like, what if we come back next? What if this is the new thing? What if this is the year the tides turn, and then we go on a 16-year win streak? Yeah,
you've been saying that for the last 16. So we'll see. We'll see how it fucking goes for you.
Now, now that we're all out of college and all grown up, I think it's safe to say now is the time for Tennessee to turn the tides. Why not? Now is the best time. I'm looking at who you guys.
Why not us? The amount of times I had to say "why not us" came before a loss. I couldn't even count.
So you guys played Georgia and Texas A&M back to back. So that's 2 losses for sure.
Hey, 1 week at a time, bro. 1 week at a time.
And then Florida State. If you lose to Florida State, then I'm never talking to you again. So that's ridiculous.
Yeah, I may never speak again.
But
really, apparently Norvell is going to Arizona State, but we'll get into that in the pick show. But yeah, no, 1 week at a time, John. This is the week that we're supposed to kick y'all's ass. So let's focus on the task at hand.
How good are your linebackers? Are they better than ours?
You guys have Miller. That guy's really scary. And I don't think he's playing this weekend, right?
He's hurt.
Unknown. The depth chart comes out tomorrow.
Yeah.
If you guys don't have that guy, then we might win by $1 billion.
Well, I'll say if we don't have him, I think we lose the game. But if we do have him, I think we win. It literally depends on if he's healthy or not. And there was a video that came out today, or at least a picture on his Instagram that showed him running on a treadmill, and I think he had like a lower body injury. So that's good news.
Yeah, no boot.
Really?
So when you go to sleep tonight, picture Ventrell Miller standing over your bed, getting ready to wrap you up and slam you into the wall. And I want you to think about that for the next few days. But no pressure.
Let's keep the shirt, Doug.
Oh yeah, so it's a yearly tradition. I found this in a Goodwill years ago, and it's the greatest shirt ever screen printed. So just a reminder, no pressure at all, because you guys suck. So it is what it is. You're the 11th ranked team, but no pressure.
Bitch. Means more to you anyways.
It's weird that we're gonna beat Florida and not go up in the rankings. Like that's just like kind of blowing my mind. That might be a first, I don't know. But bad take, Peyton. To answer your question, we have Beasley and Banks, and they're good. But I don't think they're gonna be impact players at all. We also have Trayvon Flowers, who's pretty savage.
Who you guys got that's gonna stop ETN? Who do you guys stop that's going to stop got that's going to stop Montreal Johnson?
if he gets past the nose guard, I'd be shocked. So we'll start with that. But now,
Have you seen our nose guard? We've got a 420-pound dude named Dex.
Yeah, I did actually see that in the Utah game. I was like, who is that monster?
Yeah, he fucking threw that running back up 10 yards.
Dude, that guy is crazy.
Well, yeah, and they were holding him on every other play too.
Big Dez.
All the Salt Lakers were going nuts. They were frustrated about that loss. That's for sure.
Sees.
The Mormons
had to do it to
stressed.
All right. I also can't wait for the fucking Vol for Life rapper guy this year. My favorite Tennessee Week tradition is that fucking redneck dude just ripping right off the top. Just the worst rap you've ever heard.
Back here again, yes, we coming to kill again for the win. Tennessee gonna kill that gator like Terminator. It will be like Darth Vader slicing that gator up with a lightsaber. We will bury that gator under Neyland like Undertaker. We will rip that gator's tail off, drag it, throw it hell in a cell, and drag that gator to hell.
At least you and Miami have that in common.
Single wide, huh?
At least Tennessee and Miami have that in common. They both got some skinny white dude that's terrible at rapping.
I think Georgia has one too.
You guys should
the Tennessee guy is like it's hard to find his hard to find his Twitter.
I said on one of those Twitter that if you guys get me a ghostwriter, I'll be the skinny white kid rapper for the Gators.
For Florida?
Yeah, I'll do it.
Yeah. You'll be our Chet Hanks.
Not the hero that we deserve, but the one we need right now.
Yeah, we'll get you like a bat signal, but it'll be, I don't know.
The Gator
What
head.
would your bat signal be?
It'll be the Gator head, and you can shoot it off of Century Tower into the cloudy Gainesville night sky. I'll come running.
We need a shitty rap.
Doug, I feel like you could rap. I feel like you could throw down better than most of these.
I think if I had the bars written for me, I could. Yeah, for sure. It'd be better than that fucking guy rapping for Miami, talking about how they got all this money and he's in a kid's toy Lamborghini because he couldn't afford a real one. But I don't know. Ruiz stock prices.
Even afford to rent one.
Yeah, Ruiz stock prices are so high that they had to get a kid's Lamborghini.
You mentioned that Texas A&M player by name that chose A&M over Miami last recruiting cycle. And the guy's like, you're really throwing me in a diss track right now?
All right, boys. We got anything else about fucking Vols?
Yeah, I just want to say one more time, no pressure, John. No pressure, Tennessee. You guys, it's not like you'll never get this chance again. So don't worry about it. Just take it easy. No pressure. You guys can do it. I believe in you.
And extending a coach right before a game never backfires or anything.
No, it doesn't.
So.
Yeah, it always helps. All right, let's go into our final score predictions. I'll go first. Honestly, after talking it out, I feel a lot better. I think we're gonna walk in there and kick their fucking ass. To be quite honest with you, we got the better quarterback. If Anthony fucking Richardson gets loose on y'all, it's fucking game over, all right? Yeah, he's been playing kind of like a pussy these past 2 weeks. But if he puts that behind him and goes up in there and fucking runs around and throws a fucking pigskin, you're fucked. I hate to tell you. Our cornerbacks are good. Our running backs are good. I think we're gonna have a day. I think Florida 28, Tennessee 20 in regulation. John, you go next. What do you think is going to happen?
That was a gross prediction. Oh, my God. I couldn't hold that together at all when you were saying that. That was ridiculous. Where do I begin? I'm just going to subtract from 100 to try to get this score. So.
Fuck.
I think it's going to be a slow start. Tennessee always starts slow. But by slow, I mean we're still going to score like 30 in the first half. And then final score, I think is going to be 49 to like 21. I just think you guys have no fucking shot, like on either side of the ball. Like I think this is our year. by a mile. I think we're just going to go out
clown.
absolutely smoke. And there's no other like scenario I see in my head. Like the only other thing I will say is like, obviously I am nervous because I always go on this podcast and I always talk shit on this week. But I think Hendon Hooker is going to have a day, as Champ likes to say. But, you know, it's just another day at the office for him. 49-21. We party
Gators
hard.
or Vols?
I'm not going to rebuttal that with a response, but you can just go ahead and say 49-21 for the good guys.
Clown shit. All right, Peyton. Oh, how do you think this is gonna look at the end?
All right. I'm reading the future, and I'm only going to Wednesday because I don't even need to go to Saturday to know who's going to win as long as I can look into Wednesday. There's going to be two people that are healthy on our depth chart, and their both last name is Miller. Both sides of the ball. We got our linebacker back, and we got our backup quarterback back. And that's all we need. They're not going to be able to do shit on offense, and we're not going to have to hold shit back on our side of the offense. So, I'm thinking, with all that being said, it's going to be a closer game than I'd want it to be. So, in like fashion of this, or in like tradition of this rivalry, I'm going to predict a 41-40 final score, and it's going to come in some miraculous last second field goal or like last second bomb on a fourth down to put the Gators ahead. And it's just going to be volunteer tier fans just swamping up the Rocky Top.
I think I'm going to throw up. I think I'm going to throw up. I don't know how you guys score 40, though. Are we adding two games together? Or like...
We scored 41. You guys scored 40.
Oh, that makes sense.
Right,
so three games together. God.
Get a couple pick sixes in there, you know.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, Doug, take us home. Who you got?
I just want to say one thing to the fans and everybody in Gator Nation. I'm sorry. Extremely sorry. We were hoping for an undefeated season. That was my goal. That was everybody on this podcast's goal. It's something Florida's never done here, but I promise you one thing. A lot of good will come from my mistakes and being too confident the last 2 weeks on this podcast. I went out and I said that Kentucky was going to lose big, 76-10. I went out and I said USF was going to lose big and that Florida was going to play a mistake-free game, and I made that mistake. And that's on me. We're going to get it fixed. That being said, I am not confidently picking this game this week. I think Florida is going to squeak one out. I think that they're going to win because it's just what has to happen for the world to keep turning. But I don't know what the score is going to be. It's going to be close. And I think that Florida emerges victorious in Neyland on Saturday. And that's all I have to say. Thank you. God bless.
All right. Doug likes a dub for the Gators. All right. That's it for this week. At 3:30 this weekend, we'll see where the rubber meets the road and how the Vols inevitably fuck this whole thing up for themselves. I'm Champ Brantley. This is Work 'em Silly, and Rocky Top sucks. Woo!